I am black. Wait, no. I am black British. But I'm also African, more specifically Nigerian, and even more specifically Yoruba. Wait, but I'm from Essex and Ogun State? A citizen of two lands, yet a foreigner when in both. I was comfortable in my blackness, in my Africanness, in my Nigerianness, until I stepped foot at university. See, I didn't go to school with many Africans, yet I still felt connected to an extent with my first home, Nigeria. I didn't grow up there, yet I felt a sense of comfort in knowing who I was and where I came from. Being Nigerian shaped me and my upbringing. It ran through my veins and it shone through my skin. It's who I am. However, when it came to being Nigerian, I felt as though I didn't fulfill the requirements at times. I can't speak my mother tongue, I don't have the accent. How can a woman at Balogun Market in Lagos ask my mum if my sister and I grew up abroad without us even opening our mouths? But anyways, I still appreciated and embraced the culture. I love being Nigerian, but I felt inadequate in it. So I thought to myself, if I'm not that good at being Nigerian, perhaps I could be better at being Black British instead. When I moved to university, I integrated in African and Caribbean spaces, eager to connect more with those who I thought had parallel upbringings to me. I thought we could be a sort of diaspora dynasty leaning on each other to navigate our own existential third culture kid identity crises. Essex might not be far from London, but I felt as though my experiences were distant to those who I thought had parallel upbringings to me. I didn't know the songs, I didn't know the references. I felt as though I'd failed the Black British test. I didn't know who I was anymore. I was lost. But how can I fail to connect with the multiple identities that were handed to me? It was time to stop, go back to the drawing board, and come up with a plan. I'm someone who likes to follow instructions. I like to approach new challenges in a systematic, digestible way. So I wanted to solve my identity crisis like a maths problem or a puzzle. But how do I convert such a personal, undefined, abstract concept into a concise guide? I broke it down into steps. Step 1, join the African and Caribbean Society, which is also known as ACS. This was the easiest step on the list. All I had to do was show up to pay the £3.50 membership and show up to events. Simple. The society, being the largest African and Caribbean society in the country, exposed me to a wide range of people from across the diaspora and showed me how they rooted themselves in their identities. I was given insights about the trendy music that the African and Caribbean diaspora liked to listen to and the sorts of media that they engaged with. My playlists and social circles were expanding. Step 2, listen to Afrobeats. So my favourite genres of music are pop, hip-hop, rap, R&B, not really Afrobeats. I was familiar with old school Afrobeats that my dad would listen to or that blasted at Nigerian hall parties and weddings, but that was it. Being exposed to new gen Afro has allowed me to appreciate how the genre has grown and changed throughout the years and has opened me up to more genres from across the continent, such as Francophone Afropop and Afro rock. Step 3, learn the dances. I am a street hip-hop dancer by nature, not an Afro dancer. But that being said, I participated in the dance section for Warwick ACS's annual production called Afrofest, which allowed me to learn more about the modern-day Afrofusion dance style, which is popular with those amongst the diaspora and back at home. This experience not only gave me new skills, but allowed me to embrace and celebrate the more social and communal sides of dance, which is a really big part of my culture, in a way that I previously not felt comfortable in exploring. Step 4, learn the language. Throughout my childhood, I've had short phases of really being into learning my mother tongue Yoruba. Furthermore, when I first got to university, I attended free bi-weekly Yoruba lessons held by the Nigerian Society in order to improve my skills. However, I did not practice, and so my skills did not grow, so I gave up on this step and moved on to the next. Step 5, learn to cook. I'm really good at eating Nigerian food, but when it comes to being in the kitchen, the utility I get is negative. But that being said, this step is still a work in progress. And step 6, and the final step, was to join the executive team for Warwick's African and Caribbean Society. After going through what I thought was a true metamorphosis of identity, I thought that the natural next step and end goal of this journey was to be part of the society that aided in my self-search expedition. So I marketed myself as a person who wanted to create a space for everyone in the diaspora to feel comfortable in celebrating their cultures. However, things did not go to plan, and I was unable to tick this step off my list. I was devastated. But looking back at this plan now, I laugh, because how on earth did I think that I could split an idea as complicated and ambiguous as identity down into a bite-sized handbook? I didn't physically write this list down, but I thought to myself, if I just did X, Y, Z, I'd be Nigerian enough, or I'd be Black British enough. But enough for who? No one in my life directly had a problem with how I identified with my culture. There may have been a few shocked faces when I didn't know certain songs, or a bit of teasing from older relatives who knew I couldn't speak Yoruba. But that was it. It was all in my head. I felt as though I had something to prove, when realistically, I had deeper insecurities that I needed to address for myself. I am a third culture kid, whether I like it or not. A phrase coined by Dr. Ruth Hill Useem and describes a person of mixed identity who is influenced by the culture of the place that their parents were raised and the culture of the place that they were raised. Therefore, I'm not just Nigerian, I'm not just British, I'm not just Black, I can be all three of those things and more at once. We've been handed a unique, flexible and malleable identity that will change and age as we age. As we learn more about ourselves, our identities will grow with us. Our identities are unique to us. There's no one-size-fits-all, no standard, none of that. You define what your identity is. Maslow's hierarchy of needs tells us that after our basic health and safety needs have been met, the only way for humans to fulfill their true potentials in life is for their sense of belonging and sense of self to be fulfilled. So therefore, it is imperative that we begin to feel comfortable in our identities and the way we identify with ourselves and our cultural heritage. Culture and identity, as I previously said, is so ambiguous and complicated that it's impossible to fully understand it or have it all figured out. But what we can do, and what I did, was have open dialogue with friends and family about how we truly feel. This allows us to hear multiple perspectives about how other people apply the complicated and abstract concepts of identity and culture into their day-to-day lives, and how they embrace the fluidity and self-development that self-discovery brings. These conversations should be an exchange of ideas so that all parties can feel leaving inspired. For example, conversations with my mother helped me realize that even though I can't speak my mother tongue, it doesn't stop me from being able to relate with those from my country, because we can still relate by sharing the same beliefs or values, or by enjoying the same foods and TV shows. Another thing that this identity journey has taught me is that learning about our culture shouldn't feel like homework. It shouldn't feel forced or tedious. We live in an era that has access to infinite amount of information through different mediums, such as videos, web pages, YouTube videos. Therefore, we have a choice. We have the power to choose how we learn about and connect with our cultures. We have the power to choose the parts of our cultures that we want to accept, reject, or embrace. We have a choice. It's also important to remember that it's never too late to be curious about and question the ways that we connect with our cultures. Furthermore, our identity is more than our culture. It's our hobbies, our interests, our emotions, our opinions. It's the way that we present ourselves. I am a dancer, saxophonist, pianist, crocheter, fashion enthusiast, sister, daughter, international management student, Christian, and the list goes on. The original identity journey that I embarked on in my first year almost limited my creativity and put me in a box. I didn't allow myself to just exist in the way that felt most natural to myself. Yes, I did learn more about my culture, which I do appreciate. However, the initial intent behind the journeys were misguided. I didn't have to perceive myself as inadequate in order to want to discover my identity. Now that I'm a part of the executive team for Warwick's Nigerian Society, I am able to collaborate with Nigerians from across the campus and outside in order to build up a student-led organisation that intentionally celebrates the diversity within our members by holding a vast range of of events that cater to different tastes and interests. I am now looking for even bigger ways that I can leave a positive influence on the communities that have shaped me. But if you feel as though you are unable to leave a favourable impact on your communities, what you can do is be non-judgmental and be your authentic self, because this gives people the opportunity to feel comfortable in their own skin and is a simple yet effective way of leaving a positive influence. Lessons from my journey of self-discovery have also taught me the importance of moving into spaces that we haven't previously been in, as this improves our cultural awareness. The UK is so multicultural, so we should take advantage of this. Communicating with people from different backgrounds has given me new perspectives on life, has sparked new interests and curiosities within me, and has provided me with opportunities that I previously would have not had access to. I've come a long way from the person I once was. Culture and identity are so ambiguous and complicated that it's impossible to fully understand it. But it's not static. It's ever-changing and it's fluid. Therefore, every day that I wake up, I am fortunate enough to find myself again. I relearn how to be Bolu. Thank you. Yeah.